Hi guys, this is Fernando Crisantos with From the Ground Up,
And I'm Oscar Vargas.
also with From the Ground Up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we are from the
we're
ground.
From the Ground Up. This is our first video, and we're just anxious to put something out there, put content out there. I know a lot of you started following us, don't really know what the page is, so before we start setting up these appointments with the rest of our content, we wanted to put something out there to explain a little bit of what we're doing, who we are, and what kind of content you can expect to see in the coming weeks here. Yeah, so again, I've been doing commercial real estate for the last 5 years in Santa Ana, basic Orange County, all of Orange County, but I made a focus into Santa Ana, the market. My mentor, when I was starting, thought it was a good idea because I spoke Spanish, and probably 10% of my clients, speak Spanish, which is odd enough. I guess most of them speak Spanish, but they all speak English as well. So it was a useless concept to get into, but I guess my clients thought that I would service the area a little bit better. So started at Sperry Commercial, which is a great office. I think now they're Sperry Commercial Global Affiliates, and Rand Sperry runs that office with Burton Young there. Great individuals. And that's where I kind of learned a lot of who I became as a broker. And I was thrown out there in the trenches. My first day, I was handed a phone, and they said just start calling
With
people.
no script, no nothing.
Well, they kind of had some sort of training, because I think they had a previous book that Marcus and Millichap, because John McDermott, who's actually with the SVN, made some of the training material, not all of it. I'm not sure for Marcus and Millichap.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So a lot of the training they have, we incorporated and made it into our SVN Jumpstart, which used to be called SVN Bootcamp.
Okay.
So just a really rough beginning, had no guidance, right out of college, didn't even know what I was getting myself into when I went into that job interview. And I just saw everybody had nice cars and dressed nicely and would come in leisurely and leave leisurely. But the hustlers would stay there until like 7, 8, sometimes 9 p.m. and show up super early. And I was still, making bad decisions back then and going to college and doing things I should have been doing on the weekends, getting back in the office all broken and discombobulated. But great experience, suffered for like 3 years. And then on the third year is when a great book, by the way, that Sperry Commercial recommended, and we recommended it. It was written by a former SVN advisor.
So who's SVN?
Sperry Van Ness. SVN is what it stands for. But the book was written by Brad Umansky, another great individual who ended up starting his own commercial brokerage called Progressive Real Estate, and he kills it in the Inland Empire. Yeah, he's like a big player for a lot of the retail centers that are popping up out there. So the book is called Value Added, and in that book it talks about how it's going to take you 2, 3, sometimes 4 years to strike it, to hit it, and it's all about staying committed mentally, physically. It's all a mental game. I don't know if you listen to those podcasts like Ed Milet or even Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk. And
Vaynerchuk.
Is it Vaynerchuk?
Vaynerchuk.
Vaynerchuk, it's all about, it's a head game. It's, you have to tell yourself you already won, convince yourself that you're already there, and you just naturally go in that direction. But only the strong survive. The ones that are dedicated, the ones that are willing to learn, go above and beyond, and really commit to themselves into the game, which is the mental game inside of your head. So, after being here, this year, I think I was ranked number 36 this far. I mean, they haven't released the rankings as of December, but as of November, I was ranked number 36 in our company out of 1,700 advisors. In terms of sales volume and activity, like more ground we can cover, the better. So down the road, as we kind of get further into from the ground up. We're going to bring professionals in the title company, title rep. We're going to be doing escrow companies, banks, 1031 exchange experts, opportunity zone experts, and I have some really, really interesting people that are just natural at what they're doing, and you just know they're in the right field, which is kind of funny to say that their calling was in doing slanging deals in commercial real estate. So, again, Oscar, excited to have you, and I hope that you kill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot to put investors. We're going to have crazy investors.
Yeah. So any questions you have for me that you want to ask me while I'm not running around?
Yeah, for sure. So being young in the industry and having a disadvantage because you're young, I had one friend who told one of the leasing agents was trying to convince him to be to go into his leasing team instead of going with an industrial broker and doing sales. And one of the things that he told him was people who are young, investors are not going to trust you. So how did you gain that trust, or how did you overcome objectives being so young?
I really didn't think of it that way. I mean, I just thought that I was in the right place at the right time. I understood that I was young, but I didn't see it as a disadvantage. I just saw it that it is what it is, and I always, try to take limiting beliefs out of my mind, because I would trip out. I would get in my head and then not go and pursue a deal that I should have pursued. But being young comes with some things that you don't realize that you're doing. And the first one, excuse me, that I can think of that comes to mind is not speaking properly. Yeah. And not speaking how you would speak clearly, like the Bible, for example. It's written very simple and very clear, very clean. And, that's one thing that you can take from how they wrote scripture back then. It's just straight to the point, and it's simple. And you take some of that concept and you adapt it into a professional environment, and you just make it clean and vanilla. And there's some weird little things that you start to realize as you're talking to other brokers, as you're talking to investors, and as you get some deals under your belt, you really get a little sense of confidence and a sense to kind of just be one of the wolves in the world of
Wall Street.
Hats off to Jordan Belfort. But yeah, to be one of the wolves fighting in survival, because this is a game of survival, and it's an interesting industry. But yeah, just learning all those different things about yourself, becoming who you want to become to attract the investors that you want to work with.
So you talked about how later on we're gonna have people who you think were created, or like their calling was commercial real estate. So I don't know about you, but when I'm barely starting, and most of the time when I'm calling and nothing is going my way, I feel like, am I actually made to be a part of this industry? Or is my calling actually to be a part of this industry? And I'm pretty sure you had those doubts when you started.
Every day, yeah,
every day. So how did you overcome those doubts?
Of course, there's feelings that, ideas and concepts and feelings that come up in your mind. But again, I made a promise to myself that I was going to make it in this industry.
Why?
Because why couldn't I do that?
But why commercial real estate?
I wanted to, I was interested in architecture growing up. I went to Cal Poly Pomona, ended up studying finance there, and wanted to become like a stockbroker. I hated the real estate industry.
Stockbroker.
I saw the real estate industry as very it's what moms do. Not nothing wrong with that. Like house moms that were supported by their husbands and kind of just did this on their part time. And I was like, no, I want to make some real money. I want to make an impact. I want to make an influence and be able to do that. And as I started realizing what it was and the commissions you could make, and you're around, for the most part, millionaires. Your clients are millionaires, not a family trying to buy a house, which nothing wrong with that again, but you're hanging out with millionaires, and you're talking the lingo, and you're learning the millionaire mindset of how they got there. Even if they inherited some money, like they still had to maintain it and grow that. And to be around that, even people that have learned that generationally, that same mindset, which is like the secret to life, I wanted to learn that. It just seemed like I could make a bigger impact and give back more later, and help out other people and achieve the dream of creating some sort of channel where similar people can hang out and talk and keep each other strong and keep motivating each other. Because as you get older, you start realizing that like friends kind of stay by the wayside, and aren't as motivated as you are, and you kind of start losing people. I mean, of course, they're still your friends, you still talk to them, but
Yeah.
you know, it's just for me, it was like a place to create an environment where people like me that are hustlers and want to keep growing and want to keep getting it can hang out and talk and become friends hopefully one day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So being young and being so hungry, how did you learn how to control your hunger with patience? Because sometimes people are really hungry to do something.
Right.
And
like you.
Yes, yes. I'm speaking. All these questions are coming from what.
Hey, this is what it's for,
Yeah.
right?
So sometimes we get as young people, we're so hungry, but we get so frustrated, and that could eventually lead to us ruining a deal or us calling people at the wrong time. So how did you learn to manage that?
Yeah, so you nailed it on the head.
Yeah.
Understanding the repercussions and engraving that into your head. There's nothing worse than desperation.
Yeah.
Because no one wants to work with a desperate person. You're like a fiend. You're like a crackhead. You're like, you know, you're not confident. People really respond to confidence, because if you have control over yourself, over your finances, over your life, over what you want to do, chances are you're probably a pretty good person and a pretty good broker on that same token, because you generally care about yourself, so you care about other people, and people want to work with you. It's like it's a ebb and a flow. It's a cycle. You just keep cycling in that. So that's why it's important to clear your head and clear your environment of like negative things, people, things, addictions. It's really important to stay just present and honest to yourself.
So once you get a client, some people look at it as, okay, this is a transaction and that's it. How do you keep building relationships where they last, so that your client is not only your client, but they also you build a relationship where it's not a one transaction thing, it's multiple deals coming in?
Yeah, again, just having that mindset. You can choose what you want to do. If you want to be the kind of broker that just is a salesperson and gets the deal and they never talk to them again, and they that's the way they want to operate, nothing wrong with that. There's different kinds of brokers, but for me, it's quality of life. And I want to learn from these people, because I think all my investors have something that I can learn from. They have something that I could really try to understand their point of view and their perspective to see what made them who they are. So for me, it's just about building relationships. That's what I focus on in my career, because I've gotten to become really good friends with a lot of these people, like outside of deals.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing more valuable to me than that. But again, it's just a personality trait. It's people make this industry what they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to go deeper into your process as someone who started at Sperry Commercial, then you transitioned to another company, SVN, Sperry Van Ness. How did you, during that process, how long did it take for you to get to making deals constantly? And what was the breaking moment for you to make those deals happen? Because
Right.
after one happens, another one happens, and another one happens. That's usually what happens, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just building momentum and staying hungry and staying on top of it and putting out as many proposals as possible and talking to as many people as possible. But there was definitely a turning point in my life. I had made some pretty good money already, and I was in the process of snowballing, and it was building up even more. But when I really got serious was it was actually a relationship that propelled me to become more like, just, all right, let's make this happen. This is my purpose. This is what we're going to do. And channeling that, the relationship didn't end up working. But, I learned something about myself, is that I was able to channel something and be like, all right, it's on. So I'll never be able to forget that it's on. Like, you know, some brokers make a little bit of money. Myself personally, like I'm guilty of it, and then I got a little like complacent.
Mm-hmm.
But it's literally like something like you can like find a way to trigger yourself into that. So whenever it's on, you know, I had to have a good workout in the beginning of the day, some decent sleep the night before, and take some pre-workout that morning. And for some reason, it like kicks me into just being like in and on, and it's a good feeling when you can trigger that.
So what I meant by because like personally, I see for me, since I'm young, I see a year from now, and that's a long time. For people who get older, they see it like, oh no, that's actually pretty fast.
Right.
5 years is pretty fast.
Yeah.
So how did you manage that when you didn't see it come as a real estate broker right away?
I didn't think about it, honestly. I try to enjoy the ride because I knew I was going to get where I wanted to be.
Okay.
And I knew that if I just cut everybody out of my circle or, you know, got too busy and like the struggle and got too like distracted and frustrated, it's going to be good for nobody.
Yeah.
So I just enjoyed the process. I lived at home until I was 26. I finished college, lived at home through college. My parents weren't super wealthy, and I was working at a restaurant part-time. So, I mean, I have friends that took out loans and partied their way through college, but I did a little bit of that too. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't go out and take out loans to go live somewhere in a nice loft just to get buck wild every night, you know? So you just have to believe in the process and have belief in yourself and enjoy. This is the journey's the best part. You'll hear that from, you know, every guru or whatever. Like the journey's the best part. Just enjoy it and relax because you're going to make it. And this struggle, believe it or not, is going to be the best part of your entire career.
So you look back and say, oh, I want to struggle again.
I mean, some people work differently.
Yeah.
I perform better when my back's up against the wall. Yeah. That's why there's that saying, go for broke. Yeah. You know, like I have some great investors that go for broke whenever they get a little bit of money. They go buy property, and they're back at it, you know?
Yeah.
They forget about the money. Like, they're trying to acquire more. So it's just, you got to figure yourself out, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So knowing that you have seen many people come and leave in the industry because it has a high turnover rate, what are characteristics that you have to be a commercial real estate agent?
I'm not an expert in this. I don't.
Yeah, of course.
But what I've seen, which is pretty common, is that there needs to be an X factor, and I can't describe that. It's just like the person has to be charismatic to a certain extent, and they have to have like this like star in their eyes about like wanting to be better. And a lot of the times it's they don't care what anybody else says, and they're very gung-ho, sometimes to their own detriment. Yeah. You know? And I feel like I can spot that in some people. Yeah. And they have to not be afraid. Like, they have to not be afraid of rejection and not care what anybody thinks to a certain extent. Yeah. Like you messaged me via email, and you probably messaged different other brokers, right? Yeah.
We haven't told the story though.
Right. And that's how he found me basically. But I immediately responded. I'm like, come see me. Because I was training somebody before, Sammy Deeb, out in Denver now. He moved out to Denver. He had a family tragedy, and he had to move out there. And he's kicking ass. He was with SVN. I think he started off his own group with another partner.
He started his own group?
Yeah, like he started his own like group with a partner who was a little bit older and more experienced than him. It's kind of helping him guide that process. Anyways, great guy. He's kicking ass. He's going to keep kicking ass. And he is just like that. He's gung-ho, probably to his own detriment, but he doesn't care. Mm-hmm. And people respond to that. Mm-hmm. There's a certain aggressiveness you need to have in this industry or in sales to an extent, and it's like a combination of a lot of qualities. But those are probably two that I would see. You need to be aggressive to a certain extent. You need to not care what people are saying, and you got to have the X factor. and among other things. But that's kind of like what I saw. Like, there's some people that don't have any of those things, and our office hires them. And I'm just like, all right, like, it's your office.
So, what are your future plans now? Now, going that we are 5 years in, or how many years into your career?
Yeah, 5 years.
5
Almost
years.
5 years. Yeah,
5 years in.
more than 5, a little over 5 years. But yeah.
Okay, a little over 5 years.
Yeah.
Now that you reached pretty much whatever you wanted to reach in the commercial real estate industry, or you haven't?
No, I reached a position where I can now implement and start a system, create a system to propel it and go even further than what I did.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what is without telling them in full detail, what do you envision yourself doing?
Starting a team. You're the first member of it. Having some support groups and teach them, how we do the process, because the way we market things is a little bit different, a lot of bit different. We're a little more creative. We have a younger touch to it, and it's more exciting for a lot more people. And then creating from the ground up, so we can keep sharing ideas and bring in talent, whether they're brokers or designers or media marketers, whatever it is, to give them a place to flourish with their creative ideas. And then down the road, probably in the next year or so, is to start picking up properties, because I'm gonna do it with some of my partners.
Yeah, for sure.
And
If you don't do it, then you're like seeing all the deals, and the people who are millionaires are the ones who are investing in properties. If you don't do it, then
yeah, I mean, it's not a question if I don't do it. Like, I have to do it. This is what I love to do.
Yeah.
I won't be able to sleep at night if I'm not doing it. So to do that, bring talented people, source out the best deals, and have the young, motivated, hungry people work with us so we can keep partnering, and also create some sort of syndication channel down the road. Like I said, within a year, so we can work with other investors that may have experience, maybe they have money, maybe they have time, and we can do something together to create value altogether.
So what made you, knowing that you could have chosen anything else, what made you want to start a podcast?
It was always in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I have recordings from when I was like starting off, like, okay, today I learned this, and and just super
with
cheesy.
The little fuzz.
Little fuzz. My hair was combed weird. I was super cheesy. And I just never got around to it until you came up again, and you showed me what you were doing with people from your church and friends, and what you were doing on your own. And I was like super inspired. I'm like, we need to do this. Like, in commercial real estate, we talked about that. So definitely some synergy with what we're doing here. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what makes you think that the commercial real estate industry needs, why do they need a podcast? Not what makes you think, why do they need a podcast?
right, and this will be probably the last thing we do, just to keep it short and simple.
Yeah.
But the reason why we created that is, starting off, like, I had very little guidance or content was out there of commercial real estate. There was like these videos from like the 1980s, like filmed in the VCR recorder, probably, talking about it in a very monotone, dull voice. Some guy who had very old processes, and I wasn't down with it. So hopefully we can create something here for the younger people to get excited, to bring in guest speakers, not just us speaking the whole time, that actually know what they're doing and they can learn from in a hip. I don't say hip. It's cheesy. But like a cool environment, like a fun environment people actually want to be part of.
Okay.
Hip.
Hipster. Hip is like what older people are saying.
It's like groovy, bro. Is that what the cool kids are saying now? Groovy? I guess.
No,
Yeah. So thanks again for joining us. And we're excited for this future podcast video series. We hope you guys learn a lot. If you have any questions or suggestions of who you'd want to see on the show or concepts you want to talk about, please comment below, and we'll address them at some point.